We are the best biking station in the world. The Chat Show, brought to you by Sure.
2 minutes past 8 here on Manx Radio TT. The sun shiners once again here on the Isle of Man, and it's going to be an absolute cracking day. If you are going out and about today, like the Reverend just said, and like Inspector Gavin Caldwell from the police just said, please take your time if you are heading out and about. We've obviously got the Simon Andrews Lap, etc., and other things, lots of other things going on our island. Just have a little bit of patience and enjoy yourself, because, you know, we want to be seeing you at the racing tomorrow, and just take your time. That's all we've got to say. Christy DeHaven, good morning to you again.
Good morning, Chris Kinley. Are you enjoying yourself? It sounds like you are.
Yeah, I'm all right this morning. Do you know what it was? It's because last night I went down, as I said, I went down to the Bushy tent. Other beers are available. And
although you do keep plugging it.
Do I? Sorry, Martin, if you're listening. Sorry about that. Checks in the post. I went down there, very busy, just to pick up, say, the missus who was out. And you know what? I had a cup of tea before I went to bed last night. Is that an age thing, I think?
Probably.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks very much for that.
Yeah, probably.
If you'd like to get in touch with us this morning, if you have a question for our guest in the studio, Jodie Kidd, Matt Roberts, Steve Playton, Cam Donald, we'd love you to get in touch.
Yeah, so you can text us 166 you can email studio@radiott.com, or if you head over to Twitter, we are on @ManxRadioTT. We're just trying to fire up the Facebook thing. It's being a little bit temperamental this morning. I think it's had too much sun by the sound of things.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, a little bit. But as you just mentioned, you just sort of mentioned there briefly, I'm just going to give it another shout out now, the Simon Andrews Legacy Lap, because of course they are gathering at 8:30 just around the corner there at the grandstand, and I think the Reverend John Caldwell was talking about the fact they're laying t-shirts out and all kinds of things. So gather at 8:30 for a 10 a.m. start from the grandstand, and then shortly after that, Ramsey Sprint 10:30. There's a lot going on today. Beach race later as well. Ooh. That's at 6:45. I think Knight was down there last year, so that's always a good one to get to as well.
It was his birthday, wasn't it? I think he was having a birthday party yesterday in the beer tent, all dressed up in 80s gear apparently.
Were they?
Yes, I seen a good friend of mine, Kevin Kringle, who's his young fella's race, and he was dressed up as Big Daddy from the wrestling. Do you remember that from the 80s?
I do remember it. I used to watch that with my grandmother.
Shirley Crabtree, I think that was the name of the person
right.
originally. It was, Shirley Crabtree. Yeah. I'm sad knowing that, really, aren't I? But that's the kind of thing.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with wrestling.
No, there's not at all.
No, wrong with
not the American stuff. And they throw them in the corner. He goes, "Oh, take it easy on me, John. My shoulders a bit sore, you know." Like that, yeah. Anyway,
we've got our own homegrown wrestler, Marcus of Man, who now wrestles in Stockholm Wrestling.
Marcus of Man.
Yeah, and he goes out with leggings on, with the 3 legs on, and he wrestles all over Sweden. So there you go.
Blimey.
He wrestles all over Sweden.
Lovely.
Anyway, it was fantastic yesterday. What racing!
It sounds like a night out, doesn't it?
See, I was trying to move on, but he's just holding on this point now. Thanks, Chris.
Good morning, Steve Plater. Good morning, Steve.
Morning.
How are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks.
What a day yesterday. What a race day.
Incredible. You know, of course, Dean Harrison, you know, he'd been fast in practice and kind of was... I spoke to him night before the race. He said, I'm just going to go out, ride around at my pace, and that's it. I'm not going to try too hard. Flipping heck, it's a good job he wasn't.
He did a John McGuinness on them, didn't he?
Yeah.
What John did a couple of years ago, just Blitz. That
He
first
seemed
lap.
so relaxed this year as well. Different outlook, you know. And we did a piece of him after the first pit stop, and the guys just said to him, just keep chilling out and crack on. And that was it. Unfortunately, he had his problems, but you know, without that, he's going to be the man to beat on Friday.
Does this mean? So did he smash your sector?
Oh, don't sleep going on about it. Can
you go and wash your mouth out?
Yeah, please.
Do we need to commiserate?
He only just beat it.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. In Steve's defence, like he said, and I think he said it on the TV, it was 9 years ago, so they should have beaten it a wee while ago, shouldn't they, really, to be honest?
Yeah, I mean...
So I'm defending you.
But you know, it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone, yeah.
It doesn't matter, Steve.
No, he's riding really well. He's riding well at British Championship, and they're pretty much... He's got his best pike here. Even at British Championship, he's sort of running the Bitzer bike, really. And he said he's all excited because when he gets back from the TT, then he can use his TT bike, which is the best one for the British Championship. And he's kind of, I think he's... You know, Matt will tell you better, but I think he's trying to go from strength to strength in the UK as well, and that's kind of part of his something he wants to get on his CV, really.
Matt Roberts, good morning.
Good morning.
You all right?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
How are you enjoying it so far?
Oh, I'm loving it. Yeah, I'm still thinking about that 3-legged wrestler at the minute. To be honest. And fact about Shirley Crabtree, by the way.
Yeah.
His nephew Earl Crabtree played rugby league for Huddersfield Giants in England.
Because that's where you're from.
There you go. That's where I'm from. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm having a great time. Yeah, it's been brilliant. Obviously, the weather's been fantastic. I think the guys were just saying at breakfast this morning. It's been a brilliant TT so far. I've managed to get out roadside a little bit with Steve and with Cam as well. I've been up to Hilbury and to Cronkyvoddy and seen seeing the action up close as well as obviously down here at the grandstand. And it's just it's difficult to describe, and as everybody who's listening to this knows themselves, really. It's I think until you've been here and experienced it, it's kind of hard to put across just how mind-blowing it is, really.
Cronkavody first time. What do you think of that, the superbikes through there?
I can't tell you exactly what I said.
Well, yeah, please don't. It's before 9 o'clock. But
I actually think what I said was stop it. Like the first guy who came through was Hickey, wasn't it, who came through first, Steve? And I don't know, it's mad, really.
Beggars belief, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They can run a superbike to their 6th gear, little roll, Steve, maybe for a superbike, or maybe 5th. Depends who it is.
I mean, when you're listening, it sounds flat, but it's just a little bit of a confidence boost, a little roll of the hand, and then straight back on. But that's still very, very fast. It really is. Actually, when we first arrived and looked over the hedge, I thought it was in the wrong place. It doesn't look like a corner. But then if you kind of go Glen Helen's side of the building that's there, then you can see pretty much how steep it is.
Did you go the exit of Cronkavody as well? There's a little place you can go, there's a little gateway you can go. If you have to go around the back of the house there, you can actually go there, and they come right towards you as they come over the top of the hill. And
well, we saw a couple of people just lose it slightly coming over the crest there, and thought perhaps that's not the best place to watch from. But yeah,
Jodie Kidd, welcome to the Isle of Man.
Thank you so much.
Hey, what do you think of the place?
Quite blown away, actually. I mean, not only is it such a beautiful island, but I mean this incredible race. I mean, yesterday I was up at the start line, where they were sending the riders off, and it was the most kind of poignant, unbelievable kind of energy that I've never ever experienced in my life. And I've been to lots of big sporting events, and you could cut the atmosphere with a knife. It was just incredible. And then just seeing these riders just go off, and I think this kind of like this procession, rather than kind of quite used to like lights off you go, just this kind of it was really, there isn't a word I could really describe. It was extraordinary. So and the race was fantastic, and it's just been kind of like my jaw has hit the floor quite a few times this week.
And what about the reaction in the pit lane, and obviously the grandstand, and I'm sure around a lot of the parts of the circuit, the Reverend was in before, so but he was at the top of Bray Hill when Dean did that 134 mile an hour lap. It was like, I mean, I likened it, I think, to let's say, for example, to England winning the World Cup. There was just which ain't going to happen, by the way. It was a massive cheer, wasn't it? It was just incredible.
I was doing something with the team, and it was Cam. I looked at Cam, and Cam just went, "No way!" like this, and I was going, what? Oh no, what's happening? He was like 134.4, like from a standing start, and we were like, what? Unbelievable. It really, really quite mind-blowing. He is on it.
Cam, did you think, was this something that was always in your head, thinking, there's going to be 134 lap, or was it just never really on the table?
Oh no, we're all talking about it after how quick the boys were going in practice week, and the conditions were so good. But I don't think anyone expected it from a standing start in the first lap of race week. It was quite incredible. Actually, just touching on what Jodie was saying before, that was really interesting. We were standing on the sort of grandstand side of pit lane watching that race commence, and as an ex-racer, that excitement, that emotion, that feeling, sometimes you think it's only, I feel that because I've raced it and I understand it on a different level maybe. But then when Jodie said this feeling, this emotion, the tension in the air, and then you realise, we're all feeling it, rider or not, you can't escape that excitement, and that's, that is so unique.
It's an interesting word that's used as well, the poignancy of it, because there's a sort of reverence, isn't there?
Yeah,
because I
don't know what that word means. I know how to ride fast.
Oh, dear.
But there is that idea, isn't there, that like the idea that you guys, when you're going out there, you're just a different breed of racer. It's a different thing, the TT, to any other race, isn't it? And you do have I don't know, people describe you as heroes, and I don't know what you think about that, the idea that you're sort of seen as a different class.
No, not at all. I think as a racer, we're racers, we want to go out there and do our best. Where the TT is different is that it's a time trial and you're out there, and it really is yourself, your motorcycle, battling against the circuit, and the most challenging circuits of all. And there is a real beauty about that. I do compare it to other sports at times, like maybe surfing, and you speak to some big wave surfers, guys that just want to go out there and they just want to be out there with big waves, with, nature that's going to challenge them, and that's what I sort of think of the TT circuit. It's just a really big wave.
I kind of remember the night when you came in. It was a Thursday night practice, wasn't it? I think, or was it Wednesday night practice? And you did that 1:31 when you ran, obviously, for the Tyco team that time. That was a good reaction in the park firm then, because nobody could believe that you'd gone that fast. That was very similar to yesterday. Is that still fresh in your mind, all that?
Yeah, it is. It was great, and I remember saying myself at the I didn't say, I said it felt comfortable, but I remember saying to my crew afterwards, I wasn't even trying. I've got more up my sleeve, and I've heard Dean said a similar thing, or not that he wasn't trying, but he still got some up his sleeve. Look, when you ride fast around the TT, it feels good and it's working. So in a weird way, it sort of does feel easy. And quite often when you're really battling for those times and you're off the pace and the bike's not working or you're missing your reference points, that's when it's harder. So that's what it might be hard for some people to sort of comprehend that when a rider comes in from a 134 mile an hour lap and says it felt comfortable or it felt easy. In a weird way it does, because you're sort of in the zone.
So we had lap records galore yesterday, obviously with Dino and the sidecars as well, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, 3 lap records, 118 on a sidecar, 2 chaps on a sidecar, on a 600cc sidecar. I mean, world class. Is it John Holden going under the old lap record as well? Cam, your reaction quickly to that as well?
Once again, like after the Superbike race, how could anything outdo that? I mean, that was so sensational, and what we saw was just the same, record-breaking pace, just incredible feats, and you just sort of wonder what the rest of the week's going to bring us, because that was just incredible. And the Birchells are they're such good lads, and they put so much effort into coming here and getting a result, and it is harder for a sidecar to get a finish here. I mean, that engine's under so much more strain than a solo. And so often we see those guys, dicing for a win or a lead, and machines stop. So it was nice to see them get it across the line after pushing it so hard. 50
seconds, I think it was, that they took off the race record. Not like 10 seconds. Yeah, you could accept that, but 50 seconds. Incredible. What are your thoughts on the sidecars, Jodie? What do you make of them?
I was also up at the start line for that, and it was the first time I'd seen them kind of go off from the rear, and actually, you have to be incredibly nimble. I mean, literally, I was like going, okay, this has just got even more crazy. I mean, they just fly off. You don't expect the speed so quickly as well. And, they're just... It was literally a speechless day yesterday, but incredible. I mean, I'm just in awe, really. And the sidecars were just fantastic to watch. I mean, really was eye-opener.
I can't understand some of the sidecar crews. I mean, the Passions you expect to be chaps my sort of height, but look at let's say he's a lad called Jamie Wynn who's not here this year. Jamie's about 6'7". How does he fit into that little space? He might get a Molly's outfit because he could lie down, but how does he fit in there? How does he cocoon himself up there for 3 laps? I know he's got to move a little bit, but if you're that tall, I just don't get it, Matt. Sidecar, maybe you're a similar sort of height to me and Steve, so
short.
Yes, I was being very politically correct there. I mean, how did he do
I
that?
class myself as taller than you.
Well, who isn't? Even Chris? No, Chris Palmer isn't. Lee Johnson isn't either. We had a height off once at the Ulster Grand Prix. I think a height off. I had longer hair then, you see, not much, and I had a height off, and I think I might have just won. He did want to throw me against the wall. I don't know what that means. Still, I'm still trying to work that out. Anyway.
It's about the Manx wrestling again.
Oh, is it? All right, okay. So, what about the sidecars? I mean, your thoughts on 118 mile an hour?
Yeah, well, I do think, with the greatest of respect to the guys like Molly and John Holden and those guys, the Birchells have taken sidecars to a new level. They're young, they're super professional. Everything about them just looks like mint. The outfit looks mint. The leathers, the setup, everything. Obviously, these guys are world champion racers, British champions. They just and on the short circuits, they're doing the same thing. They've just taken the game to a new level. I saw Tim Reeves in the paddock yesterday. I said, "Wow, you're looking well, mate." He said, "I've had to lose weight to try and keep up with these boys, because Tim's had it his own way in the World Championship for such a long time, and then these guys, like I said, they're just taking it to the next level. And as Cam said, they're such good lads as well, so down to earth, and they deserve every bit of success. And whilst, like you said, 50 seconds, that is an incredible amount of time. It's still not beyond the realms of belief because of the way they approach everything.
They've only got to take 4 more seconds off to get an 18-minute lap Steve played to 4 seconds off that lap record.
Can we change the subject? I got to sit on the back of Ben Birchall on Monday night.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, what's this then?
I'm doing a lap with Ben.
You got any cable ties? Cable tie you in duct tape.
I want airbags. I want.
Did you hear John Holden saying how painful it is and how much pain he was in at the end of it all?
They've all spoken to me, in all fairness, Tim and John, and it's something I did a chat show with the Birchalls in Mansfield and at the end of last season, and they was telling me about they surprised their dad at the Classic and took him round for a parade lap, and I said, Ben said, oh, you only really have to sit in the middle, you don't have to move very much. I said, that make really good TV. That's how the conversation went on. And then, but unfortunately, as it progressed, and by the time I got here and I was looking, I thought, and we went down to Cronky Body, and I said, just hold on before we leave, I just want to watch the sidecars come through. Flipping heck. And then a penny dropped of what I'd let myself in for.
Did you hear what Tom said about the top of Cronky? What he has to do now to get around that corner quicker?
Do I need to know?
No, I'm going to tell you. He said what they normally do through Cronky is have the handle on the inside, on the left-hand side of Ben, and the other handle over the back of him holding on like that, or even holding two like that. He now has to get out to get over the back wheel so they can get more traction, more drive to run down towards the 11th.
It's amazing.
Good luck with that, Steve.
Yeah.
Yes, so physical.
Watching there, you've got your classic passenger like Tom. Some of the guys are not even looking where they're going. They've got their head completely down. And then you've got, obviously, Dan Sale with Molly, laid down like Superman.
I wouldn't do it. Anyway, we're just coming up to 18 minutes past 8 here on Manx Radio TT. Good morning to you. We're live from the back of the show shop at the TT Grandstand. Jodie Kidd, Matt Roberts, Steve Plater and Cam Donald are our guests. We'll be back in a couple of moments.
Manx Radio TT. The Chat Show, brought to you by Sure.
I'm not sure. We're going to have to get some fact that 85 million on my head in a minute. It's starting to do a bit of burning.
Would you like to borrow some of my special,
is this what you've got here?
ginger suntan lotion? Yeah.
Dermatologist sunscreen. S30 is no good for me. Oh, Fry, that's no good. Just let it go. It doesn't
You
matter.
shouldn't need it that strong because you're the furthest away from the sun.
Oh, the high jokes just keep on coming.
Steve's on fader number 1. Please just knock him down if you wouldn't mind. I was going to be polite to you then and talk about your TT wins and stuff, but I'm not going to now. I'm not.
Sorry.
And of course, well, no, all joking aside, for those who don't know, Steve's involved very heavily with the Northwest 100, kind of a similar thing that John Barton and Milky do here with the newcomers, and that's a big responsibility. And one of the newcomers who was at the Northwest 100, Davey Todd here, has done quite incredible. At the Northwest, he was going very well too, wasn't he?
Yeah, good guys. We had 20 newcomers this year, and good guys really.
And that lady as well.
Yeah, everybody positive. She had a little tip off, unfortunately, in the race, but not injured. She was okay, and but they all did a great job. And the biggest thing was to listen and steady away. And she's got caught out a little bit at the Magic Roundabout.
What an event! Incredible, wasn't it this year?
Fabulous.
The weather helped.
Fabulous this year. It's a lot of luck involved. I think on Thursday practice we had 4 instances where we needed ambulances for the public. Just broken ankles and things, so which obviously causes red flags and issues. But on race day, nothing, silky smooth all the way through. Great racing and finished at 5 to 4. Perfect.
5 to 4. Had to fill on for 2 hours on the radio. Fantastic. Anything coming in, Christy, on social media?
Yeah, so you can get in touch with us today by texting 166 You can, of course, go over to our social media sites at Manx Radio TT. For some reason, I don't know why, but our lovely little Facebook live stream isn't working this morning.
I've not done my hair. That's what it is.
But good morning to Timo, who's listening, to Josh, who's listening, to GCR, I don't know, Bisto, who says nothing beats a radio, whether you're on the island in a hedge or not, you're listening to the radio. Long live Manx Radio TT, and the TV stuff is a bonus, especially if you're following all the riders that you need, and wishing you guys all the best with your future TT coverage. So are you enjoying this so far? I mean, obviously you've just sort of got here, you're obviously soaking up all the atmosphere, getting all the research done, and it's sort of what has been the most sort of striking thing that you found, that you've learned since you've been here about it all?
I mean, I've loved actually being because when we go to the racing, we hand over to these guys and the commentary and Dave. So it's given us the chance to actually go out and watch the racing on the track with the crowds, with everyone, and it's just been I suppose it's just being with it's like a massive family here.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I've been down to Hilbury twice and taken kind of like a little picnic and just sat in the grass and just chatted with everyone. And everyone has just been so kind of welcoming and so cool and so kind of informative and just going, oh, this is, you know, and explaining everything. And it's honestly like I've come to this big family. And you know, and just having chats with people. Some guy I met the other day, he's been coming for 70 years. You know, never miss one. So it's once you get bitten, I can totally understand because I've been bitten, and it's. I would just like to say, you know, it's everyone out there that's supporting on the side of the roads. You know, that they've been so welcoming, and it's just lovely to get out there and you know, and chat and kind of hang out a bit and watch these amazing riders at these incredible speeds go by, you know, through these little villages and towns and bridges, and it's just the most extraordinary thing. Amazing, incredible feat, really.
Because the spectators are a big part of the TT, aren't they? And I know, I can't think you were saying in something I saw online recently, you were talking about spectators and how you can see the whites of their eyes when you're going round as a rider as well, can't you? And that, I would have thought that would be kind of distracting, or there might be that sort of danger element, added danger element to it. But what is it like as a rider to have the spectators right there on the edges of the roads?
Yeah, once again, it's something that's so truly unique to the TT. And we were talking about it to some Australian visitors this year that were over for the first time, and they actually asked. They said, "Oh, could a rider see us cheering you on from the side of the track?" And I said, "Absolutely." And especially as a racer, as those laps count down, there's nothing like coming out of the Craig on the last lap and seeing the crowd just sort of waving you onto the finishing line. I think there's a lot of shared emotion there. It truly is incredible. And other times, I know I've been battling away for the minor places, and people are cheering me on, and I'm thinking, do they even know who I am or where I am in the race? Because I'm not dicing for the front for the win, but yet they're still just cheering on with all their energy. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. I mean, we're all caught up in the excitement. So yeah, but as a rider, you can. I could pick out the Australian flags on the hedge. I could pick out, you know, sometimes you'll see the same group of people in the same spot time and time again. I mean, there's a lot of areas where you don't have a chance to glance at the crowd, but there's plenty of areas that you do.
And obviously, your friends will say, "Oh, we're going to be, let's say, for example, halfway up Cronkovody today," you know, and they'll obviously wave you a flag or something there, and you can just, you know, they're there, and that's quite nice. And a lot of people, especially these days with social media, picture done, and when you get back and they get picture and you get a notification, Cam Donald, we tagged you in this photograph here. It's just incredible, isn't it? We were talking about this with cameras the other day with people, you know, years ago we had the journalist there, Stevie Davison, in yesterday taking photographs, and he said he remembers take the photographs. Oh, what brilliant, yeah, that's going to be a great shot. Like, he gets them back about a week later, and he's got one good shot after about 300 because now they just go, oh, don't like that, delete, don't like that, delete. Do you think that's helped sport in general, all sport in general, with photographs and things going online, especially in the media world?
Yeah, of course. You know, it sells, especially with when the weather's like this. It's you know, it makes the whole place look fabulous. I mean, this island's glorious. It's somewhere that I bring my family on holiday to, away from the TT. You know, it's beautiful. But of course, anywhere when the sun's shining, it looks nice anyway. But going back to what you said, yeah, I think TV-wise and still shots, photos, it really does kind of paint a true picture of actually how the place is. You know, there's so many beautiful places around this island and so many different things to see. And there's an awful lot of history as well.
There is,
away from the racing that. You know, we spent 10 days here with my two young daughters, and there's so many museums and places to go and see. It really is good.
And places you find that you don't know existed as well. Got to ask you, Matt, about your BSB work that you've done. For those that don't know, Matt's been involved in motorbikes for years and years. MotoGP, you were doing that for a long time too. Obviously present now the Eurosport coverage of the British Superbike Championships. That's a long old day for you guys when you're involved in that, isn't it? How does your day begin, and what time of day does it begin?
Yeah, you're not kidding. It depends because sometimes we have a clash weekend where it's World Superbikes and BSB on the same day, and the priority at the minute is the BSB coverage. So we're on site. I'll say priority, it's probably cheaper to do it from there as well, to be fair. So we'll be on site at the BSB, but yeah, we'll be probably at the track 6:30, 7 o'clock for a 9 a.m. start. You know, on air we're always there 2 hours before, so if we're on air at 9, we'll be there for 7, and then we'll be on air through till 6 p.m. And obviously you're not in front of camera that whole time because obviously you've got all the races, but we might have nine live races that you're linking in and out of. It's a lot of information to kind of process. You've got to try and concentrate for a long time. So it's quite, I mean, I wouldn't call it a proper job, but still, you're tired at the end of the day.
You're still got to be on the ball. You're not physically tired, you're mentally tired.
Yeah.
Like last night, I think I did about 13 hours yesterday with me romper suit on. And I said, I'll go and have a pint. And I started to want, thought, do you know what?
Yeah,
Knackered.
well, actually, Jodie and I got back to the hotel last night. We said the same thing. You're emotionally quite drained because you make an emotional investment into what you're doing as well. Like we do it because we love it and we care about it and we're passionate about it. And especially like you were saying about the build up to the Superbike race yesterday and the sidecars as well. You make an emotional investment and that's exhausting. At the end of the day,
it is. And then obviously you're not finished. Then as soon as the TV goes off, you're then going to go off and do bits for
and like on a Superbike weekend as well for me anyway, like you're prepping for the next day as well. You can't just turn up at 7, go on air at 9 and expect everything to work throughout the day. You have to put a bit of time into preparing for that as well. So yeah, it's they're busy weekends, but I won't change it.
I must get to a BSB. We keep saying we're going to do the final one here, which is normally Brands Hatch. I think we're planning on doing that this year, but I don't know when that is.
It's brilliant. BSB is brilliant. Like I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will know. It's probably it's a different experience to this, but in terms of family entertainment, you've just got races back to back all day. It's an open paddock.
Is it really? Oh,
yeah. It's open paddock. So, and they have pit lane walkabouts with the riders and stuff like that, and it's great, isn't it, Steve? You go to them all as well, and it's just a good day
I
out.
do sort of at least eight or nine. I'm involved with Ducati for their Tri Options Cup, and it really is good. The organisers do a great job. It's all about the crowd, and the gates are always so high, so the atmosphere's electric.
Okay, we've got to take a short break. It's Snetton, I think, the next one, isn't it? In a week or two time. We'll take a short break. It's 8:31.
Manx Radio TT. The Chat Show, brought to you by Sure.
Yes, you are listening to the Chat Show, coming to you live from the Shore studio at the back of the grandstand. It is beautiful. Cracking the flags, I think, is the term, considering we are actually looking at some flags right in front of us. We've had a few messages coming in to 166 177. Don't forget to start your message TT so that we know that is what you're contacting us about. Got one for Steve Plater here. Steve, have you ever seen the YouTube clip of yourself passing through Crossbow with Manx spectators shouting, "Plater"? It's a classic. I don't know if you'd hear that, when you're out there anyway, but have you seen the clip?
No, not when you ride it. The thing is, I used to struggle I was talking to Cam the other day, I used to struggle at Crosby with the jump. I'm not a big jumping man anyway on motocross or anything, but the wind used to get underneath me and knock the bike. So I used to go over there like Superman sometimes across the top of the bike. Anyway, but so it was, I suppose it was quite exciting to watch.
That's the wagon and horses jump you're on about. Yeah,
that's right, yeah. But it's not something I was intentionally trying to do.
Well, there's a really lovely bit that you guys have put online just last week, I think, with the three of you, with Matt and Cam and yourself, Steve, going around some of your favourite bits of the course and talking about things like that. And that must have been good fun, go back and sort of reliving all those little bits.
It is, yeah. We're kind of chitting and chatting about, and it's fine. It's weird how the mindset is quite different in places. Obviously Cam's got some really, in my mind, some real stupid things that go through his flipping head when he's riding around.
We're all different.
But yeah, exactly. We're all different. And hey, you've only got to look at his pace. It worked for Cam. But
no, it was good comparing notes. So many sections. I love this bit, and Steve would say, "Oh, I hated this bit. That was hard," and vice versa. It is really interesting with another rider, and it's something that when you're actually racing yourself, you don't really bounce so much of that off your competition. It's all friendly banter, but you're not really comparing lines or sharing your secrets of the course.
When I was teammates with John with McGuinness, in all fairness to John, he kind of was always watching what I was doing, but he said to me, "Flipping," he said, "What are you doing at the top of Bagara?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Have you seen the YouTube clip, top of Bagara?" And there's a few of us. I think Bruce goes through, Guy goes through, and I come through. And again, the crowd's all shouting and bawling. And I'm using the...
No, they don't shout that anymore. They shout something else.
Yeah.
But it's just... And I said, well, I thought that was the line. It was only my third year, and I thought that was the line.
It's the line you're comfortable with.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because Josh Brooks posted a tweet, I think it was last year, and he said he went and watched from Bagara, and he said, "I couldn't believe what is happening there with the bikes going through," and he said it made him change the way that he rides through there as well. So it's interesting to get that different perspective, looking at it from the side.
Yeah, can I just say, when I was in the back of the car when we shot that piece around the circuit, and actually some of the best stuff unfortunately wasn't on camera, because I had the best seat in the house, sat in the back, these two chatting away in the front, and it was fascinating. And what really struck me most, and you know, you mentioned before, what's the one thing that struck you that so far this week, and for me it was that all that emotion coming back to these guys, like literally, I could just tell, especially Cam getting so excited. He was driving, so he's throwing this little Fiesta into a couple of the corners and stuff, and I could see it was literally all flooding back to him. And then when we went and stood out on the track, we went up to Hilbury, was it Tuesday night?
Yeah,
Monday
Tuesday.
or Tuesday night, and Cam literally had goosebumps on his arm. So you know, these guys, it means a lot to them, and you know, getting to see that firsthand.
You ever done a quick lap with Milky? Any of you? I know, Cam, you probably have, haven't you? Steve, have you ever done a lap with Milky? I know you're quite good friends with Milky and all the
once
boys.
enough.
Once
But then
enough.
I think we were replicating that a little bit ourselves coming over the mountain the other day, but started getting a bit carried away. But
when you go around with Milky, he's sat in the car, and obviously Milky's driving. Milky has more lean angle in the driving seat than he ever did on the motorbike.
He does all the noises as well, doesn't he? When you go, he's
plenty of passion there.
There certainly is plenty of passion, and that is what the TT is all about. Jodie, you mentioned it before about, you know, people coming here. That chap, he said 70 years or something coming. Tim O'Hanlon, who does the timing with me in the pit lane, he's been doing that job for 54 years in various guises. So people are fans of this place, and they make pilgrimages from all over the world to come here. There used to be a guy come here from, I think it was Sweden or something like that, on them sort of area. He used to come in a Honda C90 every year.
Amazing.
Year on year with this little top box and two little pannies on this C90 ride all the way through Europe, across the ferry and get to here, and you just arrive. You know,
but it is. It's like once you've experienced that, when the bikes go past at about a foot from you at 100+ miles an hour, and the kind of the boom hits your chest and your hair, and I mean, it's like completely addictive. So I can totally understand, once you get bitten, you want to come back. And you know, Matt was saying you get emotionally kind of attached to riders and things like that. So it's like, once you get bitten, it's honestly, I will be coming back year after year after year. It's amazing.
Because obviously you've been involved in racing cars through the years. Is that would you ever want to take a car around the circuit?
Absolutely. I've been trying to wangle my way in a car for the last couple of days, but hopefully I'll be able to go around in one of the Hondas later on in the week.
have you ever seen the lap Mark Higgins did on the Subaru?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Unbelievable.
Huh?
Who?
Cheeky.
Oh dear.
So what have you got planned then for the actual for your filming then? Because obviously there's an awful lot going on today with events around the place as well. We're not racing, but so much going on. How much of the sort of outside the racing are you going to be capturing with the coverage?
Well, I mean, a lot today. Well,
Yeah,
because there isn't racing, but we're going to do a lot. Go around the track and see, you know, Mad Sunday up close, and you know, drive it and be with all the guys and girls. So I can't wait for that, because this is my first Mad Sunday, and to experience that. So we're going to do lots of bits of filming today, and you know, there's so much content every minute of what's going on and what's happening around the TT that it constantly keeps us very busy.
It's not just a bike race, though, is it? As you've seen from here around the grandstand, it's a festival. You go down, look on the promenade. You got the fun fair. You got the various establishments. So I think it's a full-on festival. It's not just the racing, is it?
No, absolutely, and it's, you know, incredible for families. And my favourite place is Hilbury. You know, and all the families come up there, and you know, literally having picnics, and really young children, and so it's that wonderful atmosphere, and you know, and just being here. And I love an open paddock. I think it's so relaxed, and so, you know, you can just see the riders and talk to the riders, and you know, almost touch the bikes and things like that, and it just makes it such an amazing kind of atmosphere to be around. So you know, it's fantastic. It really is. And
you mentioned just a minute ago, you said the guys and gals. Interesting, because just yesterday I managed to grab an interview with a woman in the late 70s, a woman by the name of Barbara Bound, who raced. She used to race quite a lot. Her father's Jim Bound from Montesa, and she used to race around the same time as Beryl Swain, who was the first woman around the TT course. And there's some wonderful video footage from that time, late 50s, and it's this fantastic narration over the top with a guy saying, "Oh, these women, they want to take over everything that we do, and this is surely going to be the start of women really getting into racing motorbikes." And you know what? It hasn't really happened as much as I would have thought it would have done. We have some fantastic female racers, but it's still a really tiny, tiny fields. Why do you think that is?
I think it's all across motorsport, really. It's such a male-dominated sport that, you know, and I've been asked this question a million times about when are we going to get, you know, first F1, you know, full-time driver, woman driver. And so it's not just the TT. I mean, not only is, you know, it very physically tough, this course, but I think all across all the different sports, it's always going to be tough, and especially in motor racing. It's something, you know, it's something that will happen, and when the sponsors are right, when, you know, when the stars are aligned, it will happen, and we'll see more. But
are there actual barriers, though, or is it just because actually we're not that interested?
Well, no, I do think there's a lot of barriers, but, you know, it's this kind of sexism kind of row that, you know, they say, oh, don't worry, you know, women are very welcome and blah, blah, blah. But it is tough, and there are a lot of kind of doors that won't be opened and things like that just because of, you know, that you are a woman.
Well, there's a young lady leading the KTM World Series at the moment.
The World Supersport 300.
Supersport 300.
Yeah, Anna Carrasco,
She's fantastic. I don't often get... Do you know what? I will hold my hand up and say I don't often get a chance to watch it, and I've recorded it, and I've still got last year's TT stuff. I haven't watched it or anything like that. Yeah. She's a good rider, isn't she?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there, and I think we're all the same. Probably the skybox is full of racing that we've not got around to watching. Yeah, I remember her actually coming through the. I used to live out in Spain, and I was quite good friends with Randy Mamola at the time, and his young lad Dakota was coming through the ranks, and there's lots of people might know. It's kind of like an academy system in Spain that they have. These kids get to go down to Valencia or wherever, and they get involved in these mini motor championships that bring them right the way. You know, basically you pay something like $4,000 for the season, and you get a mini bike, leathers, mechanic, 6-round championship or something like that. And if you finish in the top 3, you get subsidised for the following season, and that's why we see so many Spanish kids coming through. Yeah. But yeah, Ana Carrasco and Maria Herrera is another girl who came through that exact same system, and they do get the same opportunities as the boys. And you can see, I don't know if you guys managed to watch Anna in the last couple of races at Donington and Imola. She didn't just win; she absolutely wiped the floor with everybody. And technique-wise, she is absolutely spot on. You know, she's so clean. So precise, lovely little rider, and yeah, she's leading the World Championship now. So she became the first woman to win a World Championship race, and if she keeps going like this, she could become a World Champion, and that would be fantastic.
Amazing.
That would be fantastic.
It certainly would be. Okay, we need to take a very short break here at the TT Grandstand. We're going to speak to the Met office in a few minutes' time to get the rest of the week. At the moment, it's looking good. We're here with Jodie Kidd, Matt Roberts, Steve Plater, and Cameron Donald.
Manx Radio TT. The Chat Show, brought to you by Sure.
Just on 8:48 now here on Manx Radio TT. Very good morning to you. We've got Jodie Kidd, we've got Matt Roberts, we've got Steve Plater and Cameron Donald in the studio. But down at the Met Office at a very sunny Rolls-Royce Airport, David Britton, good morning to you, David.
Hello and good morning. It's going to be staying dry with good sunny spells for today, I'm glad to say. Although there is just a small risk of a few mist patches, mainly across the western coasts at times this morning. And with light winds as well today, temperatures rising up to a rather warmer 20 degrees Celsius at best. Then for much of the rest of the week, it's looking like it's going to be staying dry and with light winds and a good brightness and the sunny intervals. Rather warm too, with temperatures ranging from the high teens to low 20s. And looking at the conditions for the ferry crossings and shipping forecast, the winds currently variable or mainly southwesterly force 3 or less, becoming mainly north or northeasterly later on today. And with smooth or slight seas, mainly fair weather and just a risk of some mist patches at first this morning, but generally good visibility, perhaps falling poor in any of those mist patches around. Finally, the tide times in Douglas, low water, that's at 20 past 9 this morning, with high water falling at 20 past 3 this afternoon. That's the forecast.
Thank you very much to David Britton down at the Met Office.
Yeah, we are here at the Shore studio at the back of the grandstand. Of course, we've got the chat show going on, and we've got some messages coming in to 166 177. We were talking about the physicality of the TT and how it is kind of punishing going round. I've had a message in saying riding the big bikes, this is actually directed at you, Cam, for 6 laps, do you not get really bad arm pump?
Yeah, arm pump is an issue for a lot of the riders. I think with time you learn where you can relax and when you can relax, because you learn where to conserve your energy. I know when I first started, you're sort of holding on harder than you need to in a lot of spots. So I think the more experience you have, the smarter you ride, if you like. What I found, physically it's tough, but mentally is where it was really draining. It's the concentration. And it's not just that concentration for the 6th lap, it's concentration for 2 weeks. And it's also the concentration, the tension leading up to it. Because these riders don't just start stressing out when they arrive at the island. They're it's building up. The races they're doing, leading, the testing. It's it takes a huge toll on you, both physically and mentally, and that's part of the challenge for the riders to prepare themselves for that. For when they're here, not to just be able to perform in practice week, to be able to be at their best at the end of the racing fortnight for the senior.
Now, Matt, you spend a lot of time speaking to the riders at events all over the world, from MotoGP to the BSB, was just saying as well. Do you notice that difference in the riders coming here and being around them in Parc Ferme, paddock and everything? Do you notice a difference psychologically with them?
I'm not sure about that. I think, on every level there's that kind of stress that they put themselves under, that expectation to perform. But I don't know, I'd be interested, you'd see, like, say, Peter Hickman, Josh Brooks in the BSB paddock at the minute, not had the best start to their seasons on the short circuits. I wonder if this has played a little part in that, and if we might see a change in their form when we go back to Snetterton and it's kind of out of the way. That's I don't know, and they probably would deny that, I'm sure. But I wonder, it's like Cam said, it's interesting hearing from him that you're stressing about it for weeks leading up to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think whatever level these boys are at, and whether it's short circuit or the roads, they put themselves under pressure to perform.
Yeah, it's something that you probably don't see from the outside, because it's it's going on in a rider's mind. And exactly what Matt said, whatever level you're racing at, a club racer's going there, he wants to win. His mindset is probably honestly no different to Valentino Rossi's going into the Grand Prix with pole position today. But that level of mental toll I found at the TT was greater than any other discipline I'd done. Definitely here wasn't physically any more demanding in the sense, but mentally more so.
Was it more kind of nerves, or was it just because you knew you had 250 plus corners to deal with, and did it, or was it just kind of that adrenaline that you had to kind of just sit and control and focus on?
Yeah, a combination, I guess. I mean, I often say there's nothing as exciting as, I used to say, short circuit racing, turn one, 5, 6 abreast, fighting for that track position to the first turn on superbikes with 30 superbikes behind you. I mean, that's hugely daunting, exciting and scary, but, a standing start, the bottom of Bray Hill,
You're
no
on your
warm-up
own.
lap, no side-up lap. That's that really is. It just took me to a place and a level of excitement and thrill, and combined with a bit of fear that nothing else I'd ever done on a motorbike took me.
See, I was always far more laid back than Cam. Obviously, he took it quite serious.
You didn't get arm pumped though, did you?
You're terrible.
He's a terrible man. You said you didn't get arm pumped though. You didn't really suffer with it, or did you?
No, I didn't. I think it's a natural thing as well. Some guys, obviously off-road, enduro, motocross, suffer with it really bad. But I think it can come from, like Cam's mentioned, clinging on too hard, and especially when you're coming back from an injury, when you're kind of probably not quite as confident as well. But for me, it was more a case of you relax more and it's not a problem.
Actually, just one thing on that. I remember the first time I was here as a newcomer getting arm pumped so bad, probably a lot of nervous tension just hanging on. At the end of the 600 race, I was struggling to actually use the clutch.
Yeah.
And some of the down changes, I was just, sorry Mick's probably listening, but I was just banging it down through the gears because I was just, I really was that tense on the bike.
Yeah.
I've had that once. It was at Thruxton, and I was coming back from an injury and I had some issues and problems and bad setup, and I could hardly hang on.
Yeah.
And you can understand why the guys have to go and get operations to get the problem solved.
That's Mick Charnock, who Camera's on about. And Cam's at the studio for another 10 minutes. Mick, if you want to come up and see him for the bill for that gearbox. Matt, do you ride on the road at all, Matt Roberts? Do you ride on the road?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
What have you got?
Yeah, well, I don't actually have anything at the minute. I'm between bikes. I don't have anywhere to keep one at home. So what I found the last time I had a Ducati Multistrada last and kept it in my brother's lockup. He's a joiner. And I think I put about 100 miles on it in a couple of months, and I just felt bad. So Yeah, so I haven't got anything on the road at the minute, but I do love riding and get to do a bit of off-road as well when I can.
Steve, you've been riding quite a lot recently. I've seen some things you've been out on, how shall I say, enduro bikes, not enduro bikes, around the mountains and places like. You go off quite a lot, don't you?
Yeah, various things. I do a lot of trail riding at various places. I'm going. I think my next trip is not until August, but we're going off to Croatia to do some days, 4 days riding over there. But I've done 3,000 road miles in the last sort of 5 weeks.
3,000 road miles?
Yeah. I'm lucky enough to, because I would do the Ducati gig at BSB with, I get a multi-strider every year, and so the Northwest 200, I kind of had a bit of a road trip with some mates, went up centre of England, up to Scotland, across to Orkney Islands, and back round over to Ireland for the Northwest for the week, and then a bit of a trip on the way home.
Lovely, yeah. Joe, did you ride on the road at all?
Yeah, I've got a BMW R90, so I like to what you say is I like to waft around on my bike. I'm a bit of a wafter, yes. I mean, you put me behind, and that's probably because I haven't been on a track yet. I haven't raced a bike, so I kind of like sitting up, and I live in the countryside in West Sussex, and I love just on a beautiful day going out, sitting up, just kind of going. It's just brilliant. But no, I think that's because I just haven't been on a track yet. So I think once I get confidence up a bit more of after you've done your first track day, so I'll probably maybe get a little, faster. But at the moment, I like to just sit up and enjoy it and just ride around the countryside.
Waft around the countryside.
Wafter.
I like
I'm a
that.
wafter.
Yeah, that's all right. That Cam, I know you've into all sorts of bikes, aren't you? So what have you got at the moment in the garage back home? And how is the family, by the way? All good?
Family are good. They're going great. So miss them dearly. Kaz and Lola back there. I know they'll be listening right now. So, yeah, but the family revolves around bikes. I think there's about a dozen in the garage at the moment. Now with Lola, we've got a sidecar as well. And
how old is she now? How old is the little one now? How old is the little one now?
She's 4.
Blimey.
And we've got another one well on the way. So it's, yes, we'll have to buy more motorbikes.
I'd be interested to know as well how many other races keep bees. Because you keep bees, don't you?
Yeah, that's one of our passions at home. And Kaz is right into that now. Not only, sort of producing or jarring our own honey, but
they're so important.
Kaz is making candles as well. And
fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's really, and it's a nice thing from the sort of fast pace of motorbike racing. It's nice to step away and spend a bit of time with the bees. It's like a therapeutic hobby.
I love that.
Yeah,
they sound like really tiny bikes.
They do. They're like little two-strokes.
Yeah. Just had a lovely message come in actually on the back of just really quick on that we were talking about the women in racing before. Just had a message in saying there's lots of women and girls racing at the stock cars up at Onken. Hopefully with more getting involved at grassroots level, it's only a matter of time before some more make their way to the top. So that's really good to hear.
Yeah, of course, Jenny Timmer's the fastest lady around here, isn't she? I've seen Jen the other day. Have you seen her around? Yeah,
Jen
just
was
shy of
watching
120, I think she was. Something like that. So I'd like to see her back here. She's very good for the TT paddock. We've got about 2 minutes to go. We're going to quickly look ahead to the rest of the week. Steve Plater, what do you think then? Who's going to be doing all the winning the rest of the week?
Do you know, I was thinking about this morning. Obviously, we've got 2 races tomorrow and some qualifying, but Supersport's kind of wide open. It really is. We always have a bit of banter and talk about a prediction before the race, but I really haven't got a clue at the moment who's going to be on that. I know, for instance, Dean Harrison hasn't even hardly ridden his stocker. He's kind of been concentrating so hard on the superbike, but we normally sit here and say you can never, ever, ever rule out Bruce, bless him, but he's not with us, so it's a really hard one to call, Cam. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think Lee Johnson could step up in Supersport. He's a very good Supersport rider, riding well at the Northwest, but it's anyone's at the moment, and that's what's making it such an exciting week. I mean, commentating, you like to be able to sort of give a bit of insight, and there's nothing better than being, your prediction wins the race and whatnot, but that's going to be very, very tough to do this week.
Matt, quickly, sorry, we've got about a minute or so to go.
Well, so much to look forward to. I'm really, like the guy said, looking forward to the Super Sports because it is so wide open, and perhaps someone like Lee, who struggled a little bit on the big bike this week so far, it would be great to see him find a little bit of confidence and form on the Super Sport. I also really interested to see what Josh Brooks does as well on the Yamaha because he had a few difficulties on the Norton with the chain stretching yesterday, and I just think as the week progresses he's going to get faster, so looking forward to seeing what he does.
Okay, guys, and Jodie finally off to waft in the countryside this afternoon.
No, waft down to the beach.
I'm going to waft around the track.
Up to Ramsey. You come to Ramsey. You go no. Well,
we're going. We're doing the whole track. So the whole course. So yes, you'll probably see us wafting around there somewhere.
I like it. Our guests in the studio this morning have been Jodie Kidd, Matt Roberts, Steve Plater, and Cameron Donald on the chat show. Tomorrow morning, it's Monday. We've got Ollie coming in, Ollie Rushby coming in, John Watterson, and also Kyle White. Thanks very much for being here this morning. Christy DeHaven, thank you very much also.
Thank you very much, Chris Kinley.
Thanks to
It's
Alex,
been a joy.
the twiddler of the knobs, and